yes sir, and walk that line. Pay attention and eventually you'll adapt. In time you'll learn to make only the right turns and cover your steps.
Welcome to Grownfolks PUBG Tips Volume Edition 1. Today we're going to be looking at, maybe you've been playing PUBG for a while, or maybe you're brand new to PUBG, and you realize that this is one of the toughest shooting games you have ever played. So now you keep struggling and you're tired of struggling, and you're trying to figure out, how can I get better? Today we're going to show you a few tips of some basic things that you can try to go through to try to improve your game. The first thing you'll want to do is go to your settings. If you have not changed controller button preset, the very first option here, to type B, you should do that now. For some reason, this game is normally on default to type A, which is not a very common used setup for shooters. Type B is the most commonly used button preset used in PUBG, and it is because it closely fits most shooters that you have played before. So if you have it, the first thing you need to do is go straight into your controller preset, and your running forward sensitivity is not really a big deal. Movement sensitivity isn't here either. These are just personal preferences here. For vertical sensitivity, I have found that putting it down to 50 actually does, for me at least, help to seem to reduce a little recoil, so it's not quite as hard to control the vertical recoil on some of the guns. Again, this is one of those things you just have to play with, and this is one of the first things you need to do with this game, is you need to get into practice mode, check out these settings, and get them set to an area that feels comfortable for you. Some people like them higher and way more sensitive. Some people like them lower. The only thing is, you don't want to get them too low where you can't keep up with your enemies. Over the shoulder aiming sensitivity is very crucial. You want to get this one somewhere that feels good for you. And the reason for that is, if you see an enemy and you're wanting to shoot over the shoulder, you want to be able to keep up with them, the whole time. You want to be able to stay with them. If you have this too low, you won't be able to do that. If you have this setting down too low, what will happen is you can't move fast enough to stay with him. So if he's moving, he's not moving very much, but if he's moving much at all, you won't be able to keep up with him. So you want to keep this at a place that feels good for you. But if you have it too high, the other problem there is what happens is you're all over the place, because you're like constantly trying to overcorrect yourself. So you've just got to find the balance of what works best for you. That's really just a personal preference, but it's something that it's best to try in training mode, because if you're trying to do this in the game, you're probably going to die quite often, and you're not really going to get enough practice with it to really be able to tell if it's a good setting or not. As well, these other settings down below this are very crucial. This is like your red dots and your hollows, 2 times, 3 times. All of these, you want to play with these and get a feel for them, and what feels comfortable for you personally. Like I said, everyone is different, but you don't just need to leave them default. You've got to go into training mode and work on these things, getting these settings correct to help you to be able to aim better and stop overcorrecting too much. So again, these are all, you cannot find a personal set that someone has that's automatically going to work for you, because you may be different. So other than that, you can do custom crosshairs if or whatever you want to do there. Turning on your compass background does help to show the compass better on the screen. A very important thing that you really want to do, all of these options are just optional. It's up to you what you want. If you want auto replay stuff, turn it on. The biggest thing is radio message. When you're playing with squads, you need to have this enabled. There's two options here. Personally, I like option one better. It feels like it works better for me. But the biggest thing is radio message quick ping. You need to turn that on. What that does is it allows you to quickly look at an area, look at something, double click your right stick to mark it. This will also show up on your compass up there. It will give your teammates a notification of a basic area of where an enemy is, and it just really helps to be able to quickly do that and to give your team quicker information so that they can identify the enemies and the targets that they need to be focusing on. Or if there's an item that you want to show them, you would just click it and it would do the same. So the quick ping message is a huge thing that you really need to have on in your. So let's look at some aiming things that you can do here. I'm going to try to stand with my back near this wall here. Just to give you a general idea of trying to control your recoil with your gun. You just unload on it. That was pretty terrible. Now that's with these attachments on. Now I'm going to take these attachments off. And you can see the difference that the attachments makes as far as trying to keep you in a tighter area. Here is one thing you've probably noticed people doing a lot, and you may wonder why. And here I'm going to show you. If you crouch and you lean, you have better control of your recoil. That is a world of difference in recoil. This is why you see people do this a lot, and it is definitely a skill that you should practice more often. The best way to try to do it is to not just take your time doing it, but just imagine you just saw someone, you want to scope in and shoot as quickly as possible. This will help you. As you can see, you can control the recoil much better than just standing up and trying to control it. So this is alright. Here we're going to work on some grenade throws. This little area right here on the map is a great place to work on your throwing grenades through windows. When you're at this distance, normally you can aim your reticle right in the window, and you're gonna throw it in there. You have these little round bins here. You can try to work on pretending like there's a guy behind a rock there, and you're trying to throw it right on him. But you want to get it just right to get inside the area. And this is just another little area that is highly underutilized, but really does have a lot of useful tools here to help you learn how to judge your distances when you're throwing your grenades. It's going to be a little short, I think. But so you just use this to practice getting your aiming and your distances down. Now, one thing a lot of people are not as aware of is how do you throw your grenade farther. So here we've got a person, I can throw it right on them. I can throw it just past them. If I really want to go farther, you run forward, you let go of the button that you're using to hold the grenade to throw it, and once you start the throwing motion, then you jump. A lot of people try to jump and then throw. That doesn't actually produce the same effect. So you want to release it, then throw it, and then jump, and that gives you more distance on your grenade throw. So, and of course, you have the range here where you can practice shots with your long range weapons. It goes way out there at each different 50 plus yard marker. You have different targets set up. If you hit the target, of course, it'll flip. So this just helps you to work on your range game at different ranges. You want to work on your 100-yard shots. And you can see, unless it's really far out, where you're hitting the target at. So that gives you an idea if you're hitting your headshots or if you're just totally whiffing on them. So these are some of the different places in the range in the training mode, which can be very helpful in improving your game, improving your aiming, improving your sensitivities. This is by far the best place to do it because you have ample time to work on it without actually dying. No one can kill you even if they shoot you. So you just come in here and you work on your different sensitivities, and you have guys like this guy riding around. You just use them as target practice to help you work on hitting actual moving targets. Or you can even use these guys just standing here. Whatever you like. But getting your sensitivities set to place that feels comfortable for you is by far one of the most important things to help you improve your gameplay. So working on these, adjusting these, slightly moving them up, saving them, going back, and then working on hitting these moving targets with your long range and your mid range guns is very, very helpful in helping you to improve and honing in those settings that feel best for you. And of course, you'll have to try it with all the different scopes. I wouldn't worry about anything over an 8 times. You're not really going to use the 15 hardly ever. But getting these set right and getting your over the shoulder aiming sensitivity set correct is huge. So that when you have someone to shoot you, you have control over your gun, where you're aiming. That'll help you improve and find yourself winning more battles than losing. Over the shoulder aiming is another thing that is constantly overlooked by many new players. When you're in a close range battle within this distance right here or closer, a lot of times you're better off using, even if you play first person, which I prefer, using this is a good way to aim when you're in this range instead of having, even though you're only wasting a split second, that split second that you're having to scope in can be the difference in you winning a close range battle and losing one. So you really need to get your over the shoulder sensitivity aiming down pat. Now another really important thing to remember here, and I'll try to show this on a long range weapon or target first. You want to train yourself to get your little dot of your cursor right where your target is before you scope in. So let's say that top red thing there is my opponent's head, and I'm running up. I want to shoot. You see how much faster you're able to do that instead of just running up and scoping and then trying to turn it in and shoot. It's a huge difference. You really need to train yourself to get that dot on there first before you scope, especially when you're shooting at distance. Because you see, it takes me a little longer to get my aim on it when I have to do it that way. But if I'm already on it, I can just scope in and shoot. But if that little dot is not on it, and I'm just near it and I scope in, then I have to take the time to readjust. And that split second is enough to cause you to miss your shot. So these are some tips that can help you improve your game and get better at winning some of the fights that you're probably losing right now. I hope this quick tutorial has helped for episode 1. We will have some more coming out in the near future, so be sure to click subscribe and like our videos. And if you're interested in joining a crew that doesn't mind teaching new players, or if you're an experienced player and just want to have a regular crew to play with, we're always accepting new players from either Xbox or PlayStation. The Grownfolks PUBG clan. You can go to www.grownfolksoc.com, and then in the nav bar you can click on Join Us, and in there you can find an application to apply for the PUBG group. After you apply, within 24 to 48 hours, you will get an email that will give you a link to our Discord, which is what we use to communicate, to quickly find when other players are on, so that we can quickly find teammates whenever we're jumping on. We have over 20 members in our crew right now, and if you would like to join us, you're always more than welcome to. So thanks a lot for checking out our first edition of some tips that can try to help you out, and we'll check you next time.